But let's look at a tweet from DJ Quik. All right, I'm gonna make sure my contacts is right because we need to read.
Yeah, read all the words.
Yeah,
just hyper focus on his reading.
All right, so I'm about to lock in. All right, so here we go.
You have to take a deep breath.
What was that? Oh, that's on that. That's on that. What's that? Where we was laughing?
Basketball. What's his name?
Oh man,
played for the Bulls and
never mind. Yeah, that's when he was like,
he had to take it. Ron Harper. He had to take a brawl.
Shouts to Ronnie.
They put him on TV like that.
Over.
Played a long.
Go ahead and take your breath, man.
Played alongside him.
Read the quote.
All right. He said, "I know it's early, but I deserve to be where Dr. Dre is. I don't think it's fair, but I understand why. I've never had a machine behind me. That always hurt my friends more than it did me." So Quik is pretty much saying I should have been up there with Dr. Dre, but he had a little extra push, little extra support, little extra,
Sometimes we jump out the window.
Here's my thing though.
It's true.
With DJ Quik, he definitely is a pioneer. First of all, one of my favorites.
He's an awesome producer,
and he's an incredible producer, and should get more P's.
He's a composer. I'll give him that.
He's a composer. He's a better musician than Dr. Dre.
He knows how to play instruments.
To me, he's better as
musician.
I
give him that.
He's a better musician.
He's not a better DJ than Dr. Dre.
No, but as a musician, he's better.
But let's even take it away from comparing the two.
Okay, cool. But just for what he's saying as it relates to, because they both OGs and they both legends. Yeah. We agree with that, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right. So when he talks about, him having a machine, I look at it from this standpoint. It's just my opinion. Dre has put out heat from the 80s pretty much all the way up until, it's cliche to say now, but he's kind of been tucked under in the background. We can count the Compton album or whatever.
Dre kind of created his own machine though, but keep going.
That's what I was getting to. What I'm saying is the machine that I think Quik is speaking about, Dre developed that through consistent heat and making consistent high quality
We're
product.
having a request to read the rest of the tweet.
That's all it was. That's all I had.
There's actually 3 tweets.
Oh, there's 2 more?
Yeah.
This is the only one that somebody sent me. I didn't know there was 2 more.
Yeah, let me look that up really quick while we do this.
Okay. Yeah, I only got that one.
To put it in context. So
keep
don't
talking. I'll pull it up.
But I like what you said. Like, let's not do the tit for tat because they both OGs and they both legends. But as it speaks to the first portion of the tweet that we have, and like you said, Terry, with the machine, I look at the machine as Dre built that and earned that through hard work and consistent high quality product.
He put artists on.
Right.
There's a few factors involved in there, like with DJ Quik, and I'm not taking anything away from DJ Quik.
One of my favorites.
He's a solid producer.
No, he's better than solid.
He's
better than solid.
That's a tit for tat answer too, though. Honestly,
there's a lot of people who barely solid.
Right,
he is solid.
He's solid.
Great,
solid as a rock. There's a whole song called that.
Terry had a whole conversation about what his solid means a while ago. Do you remember that?
Sorry, man. I
remember?
I got offended.
Yeah.
I did. I got offended. I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro.
DJ Quik. He's produced for Tony.
Yeah.
He's produced for. See, it escapes me. I can't go through all who he's produced.
Everywhere.
He's everywhere.
He's everywhere.
You can say Second to None and AMG and Player Ham. And
them are not. So the difference between them and Dr. Dre's credentials is the people that Dr. Dre spearheaded and went on to become successful pioneers on their own.
I agree.
With his push.
I agree.
DJ Quik doesn't have that.
As much as I love AMG and them and High C, it's not Eminem, Snoop, Kendrick, 50 Cent.
Ice Cube.
Yeah. Like, you got to understand.
Like, literally every one of those artists have classic albums.
We're talking about Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
Dr. Dre's family tree, as we talked about or alluded to before, is unmatched. You're not going to beat that. We just talked about Belichick. If you put Dre at the top and do all the branches, you're not going to beat that. I don't care who it is.
When did we talk about Belichick?
What were we talking about?
Oh, no, I said
earlier?
his coaching tree is trash.
Tree?
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
See?
Y'all finished or y'all done?
Wish you had that.
Smooth Hoosier said Dre had Snoop, Quik had Sugar Free. And Sugar Free is that dude on the West Coast.
No, and
on the West Coast, he's that dude.
And Sugar Free put out a record this year that I love. That is
Smooth Hoosier is right.
It's about Kanye West, who we're not going to talk about anymore. But
man, we just did.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't.
No,
but but at the same time, because I like Sugar Free, and I don't even know if Quik did it, but I was aware of it. But Did any of y'all know about the Sugar Free album, Sugar Free record that came out this year?
I didn't know anything
Ill
about
Brown
it when it
told
came
me.
out this year.
I didn't even
Okay.
know about Sugar Free until this year.
Really?
Yeah, I'm dead serious.
Wow.
And it was only because like a clip popped up and I thought he was like 𝗡𝗲 hilarious because of how
You
he
didn't see
rapped.
when he was doing the beat with the pen on the table and stuff back in the day?
It was like
Knowing Lone and how he consumes things, I can
Probably
see
seen
that.
it. See, I'm hip to him
I can see that.
because my West Coast family is from Pomona. That's where Sugar Free is from. So
And
I would get
Oh, you
hip
really
to,
know?
Yeah, so I would get hit to him when I would go out there, and they would kind of, hey, you heard Sugar Free, you know what I'm saying? That
and
type
I'm
of
also somebody who has admittedly not ever really been up on
West Coast.
Bay
West Co-
Area stuff or anything in that area. A lot
Mac
of West
Dre,
Coast.
stuff like that, yeah.
stuff. Bay Area is about 8 hours away from there.
Well,
Yeah.
he sounds like he's from the Bay, in my
Kinda.
opinion. I mean, just the way he
got
raps.
that twang,
He's
yeah.
got that style, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I like what he, don't get me wrong, like I like what I hear from him because I think it's hilarious.
It is pretty funny.
But, you know, but I have the other two here. Here, let me read the rest of these. So,
Thank you, sir.
So you read, I know it's early, but I deserve to be where Dre is. I don't think it's fair, but I understand why. I'd never had a machine behind me. That always hurt my friends more than it did me. Right?
That's the one. Yeah, we just talked about that.
So the follow-up tweets are, my friends have come to me in confidentiality to say, do your music like you want to. Just be DJ Quik. People love that. Shh. This doesn't need... And then he goes on and says, this doesn't need to be on a podcast because
No.
because
Oh, wow.
Well,
because you have fire starters who want to spin everything to get more ratings. But the truth is, I love Dr. Dre like a big brother, one I never had. It pains me when people pit us against each other. So
Do people really
which
do that?
we just said
Yeah,
that we
I've
didn't
never-
want to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's really.
I think it's easy. I think it's really, really easy to do that. I think it's super easy to do that because
I've never personally did it.
we associate. I mean, we associate Quik with the West Coast
I
music.
mean, his first song was Born and Raised in Compton, so you have to
It had a
realize
sample of
that,
an NWA record.
Come on, yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I mean, but I think naturally people like to just compare. in general.
For me as a producer, those are the two names that I think of when it comes to West
And
Coast
Battle Cat.
production and Battle Cat. Those are like those three names are just they automatically pop up in my head when I think West Coast production.
No, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So
And early
Daz,
ass.
he deserves to be in that conversation, but you know, for that first portion, I'm glad he cleaned it up and saying he's not hating on Dre because I know they cool, but
I didn't even take it as him hating.
I
no,
didn't
me
either.
neither.
No,
me
I
neither.
didn't either.
But it's good to see the extra parts is what I'm saying. That's good. But no, Quik is definitely deserves to get his flowers. But I just think when it comes to the machine, yes, the machine aided him, but he had a lot to go. He had a lot to go into making that machine.
I think the thing with Quik is that his record and his discography, which we haven't even went through Quik yet, have we?
I got it pulled up.
Oh,
Actually,
but-
I just pulled it up.
but we haven't went through it yet, have we?
Nah,
No, we ain't made
not
it
on
to
the
him yet.
producers
But
thing.
when we talk about, we haven't done Dre yet, and we did do Battle Cat, and Battle Cat scored super high if I remember
Yeah.
correctly, right? He might be second on our entire list so far.
he had
to Pharrell.
he had a lot of stuff in there in those later categories where
So-
he was exceptional.
And I know that Quik is going to be up there too.
Agreed.
So I say this to say, Quik has a super extensive catalog. Worked with a lot of people, not only in the mainstream but also in underground and probably multiple genres. I don't know about that aspect.
Janet
of it.
Jackson, Tony,
Because he's so
Deborah Cox.
because he's so musical with everything.
Right.
I do think that he's probably correct about. I don't know about the I deserve to be where somebody is, but as far as talent level is concerned, if we're going to base it just on talent, I could probably agree with that. The only thing is like
doesn't bother me a bit on the talent side.
we should all know at this point in time that talent isn't the thing that propels people to those stages, right? Which
Exactly.
Right.
and so
We've
like
all heard the story of 𝗚𝗲, you know what I'm saying?
and Dr. Dre knew what he was doing in that aspect. He went out, he saw Eminem, he signed Eminem. When would Quik have signed Eminem?
Right.
I don't know,
Snoop.
probably not. Like
The Dog Pound, Nate Dogg. I mean, these are all people under Dr. Dre.
and we're talking about that. This isn't even talking about the Denon Porters, the DJ
Yeah.
High Techs that came on his production team.
DJ Khalil.
And, yeah, like these are. Dre, I think just had a different type of mindset and a different type of push to be a part of that machine. And I think because Dre is who Dre is why Dre is who Dre is and why Quik is who Quik is. But I don't think it has anything to do with talent. But we all know the talent isn't enough.
No, it's not. I agree. If we living in the epitome of that era, it's not about that. Go
But
ahead, Jay.
I don't even think it's eras. I don't think it's ever been that way across the existence of time. I think we just not fantasize about it. I think we just want it to be the case.
I disagree because I think earlier on there was a less access to stuff that wasn't as good or wasn't as quality as the good stuff, and the A&Rs filtered through all the stuff that we didn't get a chance to hear and focused on the talent. I think the talent rose to the top and was more important in the 90s, way more than it is now, because we didn't get a chance to hear, a lot of the trash or the stuff, whatever you want to call it, on the internet. The A&R sifted through all that, and everything was based off the highest quality product, who has the dopest stuff, and that was pushed to the front.
I disagree only because I feel like they found people that had talent that they could market. And I feel like there's people that are super talented that they can't market, they will ignore. In the day and age right now.
You're talking about back then.
I'm talking about
period.
Period.
Okay.
I think that's what it is. Can you market it? Can you market it? It's easy to market the Jackson 5. It's easy to take out Michael Jackson out of that. Obviously, he's talented, right? But sir, I agree that yes, talent has a role in it, but I think it's always been who can you market? Who can we get the most eyes in front of that is going to take my investment into this and propel it up even higher, because that's just what it is.
Even when you think about like Stevie Wonder, I mean, you got to think somebody that's blind knows how to play the harmonica and all kinds of instruments. We sound him immediately when he was a kid.
True.
Yeah,
and he's been out here doing it because he was marketable.
Yeah,
you got this blind kid,
little Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, that knows how to play the harmonica and can sing.
And I don't think that what you're saying is false. I just think that it's always been there. I think it's always been an underlying feature, and I think it across the board. I think it's always is.
I mean, just like I do.
We can go back to like Nikola Tesla and Einstein. Like Tesla was the genius. Einstein took the idea and knew how to market it in the way to make money off of it.
I get what you're saying. Like I said, I get where you're going. It's just
a lot of early American things.
There are a lot of conversations that have become cliche. It's easy to say, oh man, back in the day it was more about talent. You know how we hear that just through casual conversation. Agree. So the reason I'm saying that is because I get what you're saying. Like, we're understanding each other. It's just now the oversaturation now just makes me move further away from that and more towards just the marketing. Like, I think when people look at an artist now and they're like, okay, let me see what this kid is doing, I don't think they say, okay, he's talented.
You think the percentages have switched a little bit?
I think it's switched. It's dramatically switched. At
the end of the day, Dre has gave the game more than DJ Quik has given.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
This is also, when they say,
but you get what I'm saying, Lone? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
It's like now it's like, okay, so they got 1 million views. Let's start there, and then we'll figure out the talent.
No,
later.
I think
that's the era. I think
we're looking at it on a scale of talent versus marketability, or whatever that marketability is going to be in whatever era we're in,
right?
I feel like it's always been skewed towards the marketability aspect, but I feel like, to your point, yes, I would agree that talent is much less important now.
That's all I'm saying.
Not for sure, but but it's always kind of been like this, I guess. I like the concept. That's my perspective.
No, I like the concept. I see where you're going. Jump in, Jay.
No, it's just like, I guess the thing that stands out to me is when he says the machine.
Yeah.
Because
what is said machine?
You got to understand what Interscope was before Death Row and Dr. Dre's talent push. Like, I think one of probably their biggest hit up to that point was Gerardo, Rico Suave. It wasn't like Interscope was Interscope before Death Row came along.
Right. And then they had 9 Inch Nails and somebody else.
But still, when you talk about hip hop and what a machine is, it wasn't that. And then even when you, and at one point, like, Jimmy Iovine was like, yeah, they were telling people that they should drop Dre, and then Eminem came along. And even if you want to go to the beginning, when it was Ruthless Records, okay, yeah, you could say that was a machine, but you know what the biggest thing on Ruthless Records was before NWA and all the stuff that Dr. Dre did? It was the California Raisins. So
that's tough.
The machine, if you're going to call it that, was there because of Dr. Dre.
Exactly.
In both those situations.
To Terry's point, that's what we were talking about.
So, I get what he's saying, because when you see him standing next to, this is almost 10 years ago, when he was standing next to Tim Cook at Apple, when Beats by Dre, it just seems like, oh, Dre just has all these breaks, but those breaks.
He earned those breaks.
You can say whatever you want to say, and everybody wants to say, and of course, a successful.
And this is no knock on Quik.
And no. And the thing is, I would tell anybody, not that
Put some
a little
respect
bit
on my
before
name.
Dr. Dre 2000 or not Dr. Yeah, the Dr. Dre 2001 album came out. You know, not that maybe 6 months, maybe a year. Rhythmalism by DJ Quik came out, which was a fantastic record. And like, I think
But it
is
was
slept
not.
on.
It was not 2001.
It certainly was
sure
not,
was not.
but you know what? I mean, I can say to people, if you don't know what we're talking about, what we talk about Dr. Dre and DJ Quik in the same breath, sometimes, even though we just got to give it to Dre over Quik.
Got to.
You know, Rhythmalism was a great record that did not get the recognition it deserved.
You have to say too, when 2001 came out,
Yeah, okay.
the way it sounded, it was a lot crispier than anything that had ever came out up to that point.
Oh, that album sounded good in my terrible speakers. I was like it. Because I had the CD, but of course this is a certain time when you only had a tape player, so I'd dub it.
I mean, he's from the Moore household, so
I mean, you know, I didn't have a CD player. You know, we had, you know,
They only had Maxwell cassette dub tapes.
and so when I was in there making my tape, I had to go ahead and adjust it differently
Yeah.
than I did. You know, even when those Death Row albums where Dre didn't do the bulk of the production, you could tell which songs were mixed by Dre.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably stupid, but when 2001 came out, Lone, you may be able to attest or tell me I'm an idiot. I was an idiot. But when 2001 came out, I used to listen to that album in my car, and any of my little beats I was trying to make or trying to work on, I made the mistake. Well, not the mistake, but I used to try to, okay, let's play 2001 real quick. Okay, boom, put my CD in, my burnt CD, and then sit back and listen.
Yeah, you can't make it like
And
that.
it was
Got your feelings hurt a few times.
bad. Like I was sitting there and I'm like,
that's
yo,
how you should have done it, though.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I used to sit there and be like, I'm nowhere near. It's not even close. But I kept doing that to see how he had certain thing pans.
That's how you get better.
Dre was 20
That's
years
how
in
you
the
get
game
better.
by then.
You also have to realize that 2001 changed how people mix records, too.
Yeah.
Like, that was revolutionary in how they mixed records. So I
that
mean,
was a standard
yeah.
True.
after that album
No, for
came
sure,
out.
for sure. But I think that, to your point, I mean, I've literally mixed records in the past like that. Like, I wanted the last 𝗏𝗄𝐿 album we did, I wanted it to have a Roots, How I Got Over type of vibe to it, feel to
Oh,
it.
that's
So I mixed our first record based it off of a couple Roots records, and then I mixed the rest of the records off of the first two records and kind of went down the line. So.
I heard Dr. Dre say one time, because this is back when, to Lone's point, when the quality was so exceptional. People were asking him about the album and, you know, mixing process and that type of stuff.
It wasn't just him. Let's
Well, I mean,
throw that out there.
True. You're right. True. But he said one thing that always stuck with me when I was younger was, he said, with my music, when I mix it and I'm doing the mastering, he's like, when I turn it down low and just sit and listen, I can still hear everything.
You should be able to. Yeah, you
I
should
can
always mix low.
still hear everything.
Always should mix low.
Yeah, and I know you know, because you've engineered way more than I have. But he's like, yeah, if I turn it down low, it still sounds good. I can still hear everything.
Yep.
And I started doing that. Like, let me turn it all the way down, because in our mind we want to hear it loud so it booms and bangs. But in all actuality, that's not the setting every time you listen to music.
Sure.
Might be in a whip, might be around the crib. So when he said that was. I mean, it just goes to
He
the
literally set musical standards.
facts.
Yeah.
And I can't say the same thing about DJ Quik,
So-
and that's not being a slight on DJ
Not
Quik.
at all. Not at all.
But Dr. Dre literally set standards.
The one thing, I think the one missing piece that Quik, I would say, probably doesn't have, and again, I don't want to pit these guys against each other, but the one thing that where Dre stands out to most people that have the crazy career as Quik has had and is continuing to have, and why Dre still kind of put on top of that, isn't just the machine. It's also because he has a little bit of that Diddy and Puff in him as well.
What do you mean when you say that?
Or Diddy Puff / _𝗏𝗏𝗏 is what I meant.
Oh God.
And I only mean that from the angle of being a music producer and putting the entire
Having an
product
ear.
and putting the whole product together, putting everything together.
Not just being a beat maker.
Not exactly. And this is not to take anything away from Quik.
That's not to say that's just
Quik
what.
is the
No,
ultimate
he's
beat maker.
he's done full projects before with people, you know, lots of underground people that I've done.
I mean, he mixed All Eyes on Me in like 2 weeks.
So, but what I'm saying is like, the only reason that Diddy and Khaled can even be brought up in a conversation like this is because they were able to mass produce, market on such a high level. You know what I mean?
I would agree.
Dre can do what they do, but also do what Quik does. And that's what makes him that much more bigger in this machine. That's
I like that.
really the only difference. Because if we're gonna go down straight to just beats and production styles, I'm giving it to Quik personally.
I'm so glad you said that.
But
I'm still giving it to Dre.
I'm so glad you said
I'm
that.
probably gonna give it to Quik.
I'm glad you said that.
But a lot of it has to do with the fact that this is a producer's ear. He plays a lot of original stuff, and he's got a lot
of original stuff.
He's got this extra funk in him that's in him.
That's true.
I'm so glad you said that.
That's not Parliament.
I think
so glad
about
you
the
said
transition from NWA Dr. Dre
Okay.
to Death Row Dr. Dre,
Right.
Okay.
and how the first Chronic sounded, how Doggy Style sounded,
Okay.
how even though he didn't produce a whole bunch on this album, but Dog Food sounded.
He mixed that, so
Yeah, it's just like he set standards, and his production style evolved. And I don't know, it's just a sound.
I think part of me as well is that I don't really know what Dre has actually produced in the last 2 decades. And I do know the things that Quik has produced, because he's even produced records with 𝗏𝗏s that are super dope. And so I don't know, man. I just as a producer, he has more legs to me than Dre, because I feel like Dre hit his stride.
What has Herbie Hancock and what has Quincy Jones produced in the past 20 years though?
Yeah.
But they're still, if you compare them to anybody, you have to be like, these are top tier producers.
I give
musicians, you know what I'm saying?
I just give it to Quik based upon his longevity and continuous work. But it's not to take away from Dre and what he's done. Obviously, he was super out there, but
Sometimes, us as producers,
he hasn't fallen off, and he's only gotten better, in my opinion. So,
Lone as as creatives and producers, sometimes we get surprised when we read the credits and hear certain stories. So, prime example is what's the joint with I should know this. I feel bad. I feel stupid right now. Scott Storch played the lick for
Still DRE.
Still DRE.
yeah.
It's like I saw Drake get on the piano and play it at the Super Bowl, right? But it's like, in my mind, when I first heard that, I'm like, Dre sat down at the piano and played these licks out. Then
but what is an orchestra though?
I'm just, what I'm saying is,
It was actually Scott Storch.
it was Scott Storch. So in my mind, I'm thinking, man, this dude Dre is a fool. He making this beautiful music, mastering, playing all this stuff. But I had to mature and learn and be like, a lot of his stuff is collaborative also, especially on the latter end. He ain't done, but it's hella collaborative. And I'm not mad at that, to your point, because Quincy
It's not
did that.
Kanye West collaborative.
I mean,
It's up there.
Like
It's
later
definitely up there.
Kanye West stuff.
It's definitely up there.
I wouldn't say it was that high, but it's in the ballpark.
You got to realize, like, he had a production team of like Denon Porter and High Tech and
Khalil.
Khalil, and
He was still
Hitman.
mastering that stuff though.
but that's not making the beats. You know what I mean? That's
But he was instrumental in the instrumentals.
Yeah,
but-
I know.
but
it's the
I
same argument with Diddy, and
It's the Diddy thing.
In college.
It's kind of not though.
It really
It
is.
but it ain't.
No, it is. It is if he's in the A&R chair saying, "Oh, like, okay, Khalil, send me 20."
Yep. And then here, let's
Denon
add this
hit-
piano.
That's what I'm talking
like,
about.
all right.
The difference is Puffy would not sit down and add the piano. Khaled would be lost trying to sit down and add the piano.
Right.
Drake could
Because
actually
he's
do
scared of
that.
Fruity
Dre.
Loops.
That's why Dre is always looked in higher regard. That's why we don't talk about Dre in the same realm as Diddy and Khaled. Khaled doesn't even deserve to be talked about, in my opinion. But that's why we don't rank them together, because they did the same thing. But Dre actually can make records,
Right.
Yeah.
and we know that he can make records from scratch because he's done it.
So when he,
But I just don't think he has that much of a
not like it,
foothold, like
not
he
like it
did
used to
in
be.
like the early 2000s,
Yeah.
90s, and 80s.
I mean, but the status that he's at now, he's to the point now where, to Terry's point, when he talks about the mixing and mastering and everything, when you're OG of that status in your ear, you know it when you hear it. So when he asks these guys who are already great to send him a batch, and then it's just like him putting the seasoning on the top of it and then mixing it, he's deserved to be that person, I think, at this point, because he has the credibility as an actual producer.
For sure.
You see what I'm saying?
Look, even
I'm not even mad at that. I'm just saying, like, that's the difference between him and Quik.
No,
100%,
feel you.
100%,
But
100%.
in me, I think about Dr. Dre is just, look, he basically did Above the Law's first album. And when I think about the second NWA album, which I think is, even though thematically it is reprehensible, sonically,
That mug was hard.
Hard.
yeah, but sonically, whew, Dr. Dre was, And I know
he was in his bag.
I don't know Yella did some of the stuff, but you know that was Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
You know, it's just incredible. If you could just get past
Always into something.
if you could just get past all the terrible things that they're saying.
Yeah.
Bro, go listen to the DOC first album. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that was a question.
That's Dre.
That's a question.
All
I was
day.
going.
Nah, for
Yeah.
sure.